Now, if you were paying attention a couple of videos ago, you will have seen that we started talking about a div tag. We saw it in the sample example domain source. Let's just have a quick look again. View source. There it is. There's some div styles, and the whole chunk of text here was enclosed in a div tag. So what is a div tag? Really, it's just a division of your web page. So most web pages are divided into certain areas. It may be the header area, and then the main text area, and possibly a footer area at the bottom. And each of those could be defined by a separate div. Even within those, you might often want to have different divs that divide up each section into smaller sections. So a div is just a way to separate out your content into logical sections and to make it easier to keep your content organized and to display the web page that you want. So let's have a look and see how these work. We'll switch back to our page. So I'll create a new div at the top. And we'll just have our first paragraph tag inside that div. I'm going to try and keep my indenting all quite nice so it looks pretty. So we've got a div there, and we end the div after that first paragraph tag. So let's just save that. Okay, that's fine. It hasn't actually made any difference at all. But we can do then things with that div. So the first thing I'm going to do is give the div a background color. So background dash American spelling color, and we'll make this blue. And that will show us where the div actually is. There it is. So there is our div. That's what it looks like. It's actually just a box. So divs are always rectangles, and they just surround the content that is inside them. Now, but we could use this div to actually control the content a little bit. So let's say I only wanted the div to be 100 pixels wide. Then I would say width 100 px, px for pixels. Let's see how that looks. There we go. So we've now changed it into a box, and the div is actually controlling the layout of the text. I can change the height as well if I want to. So at the moment the height is being automatically generated by the size that is needed to fit that text in, but maybe I want it to be a little bit bigger than that, and I have a height of 300 pixels. Fine. Okay, so you're getting the idea. So a div is a section of a website. It's a rectangle essentially that you can control in a certain way. Now if I create another div, it will, of course, have to follow the stylings of that first div. So they're all going to be the same size, and they're all going to have a blue background color. I probably don't want this, so what I'll do is I'll give my div a class. So let's call this blue box, like that. And so instead of div, I'm going to use the dot to refer to the class, and blue box. Great, so now only the div with a blue box class is going to be blue and have that background. Now I don't particularly like it. I think it's too thin, so I'm going to make it 200 pixels wide and also 200 pixels high. So we've got a nice sort of boxy square there. Let's give our second div a class. Let's call it red box. You can possibly guess what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to give it a background color of red, and we'll make this one a bit wider. So width 300 pixels and height 100 pixels. There we go. So we've got our blue box div, which is 200 pixels by 200 pixels with a background color of blue, and our red box div, which has a background color of red and is 300 pixels wide and 100 pixels high. So a quick recap, divs are used to separate out areas of content in your website. They can also be given styles to control both the div itself and the content within that div.